Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Sharadhyari Radha Sharadhyari Radhe Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranita Jaya Gauranita Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Nitai Gora Haribo Nitai Gora Haribo Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajikacharya Asto Uttara Satya Sishimari Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribhajikacharya Asto Uttara Satya Sishimari Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kuti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shiva Hridas Thakur Ki ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord's feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Lord Shri Prabhupada. Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Nityananda. Namaste Krishna Padaya. Just excuse me a minute. The light was turned off in this room, and I'm going to turn it right back on. So it gets a little more brightness here. Okay. Narayana namaskritya narom chaivam narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam udirayat nasta prayesva bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavata uttamastuke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Good morning to everyone on the Zoom program, Srimad Bhagavatam class. The text this morning is from Canto 1, Chapter 3, and text 35. Canto 1, Chapter 3, text 35. All right. So I'll read the Sanskrit shloka 3 times, and then if you want, you can definitely repeat the Sanskrit. Evam janmani karmani hyakatu ajanasya cha varnayanti smakavayo Veda guhyani hritpate evam janmani karmani hyakatu ajanasya cha vanayanti smakavayo Veda guhyani hritpate evam janmani karmani hyakatu ajanasya cha Vanayanti smakavayo Veda guhyani hritpate. Hare Krishna. So you can try chanting.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam janmani karmani hiya kartur ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guhyani nihratpate.
Evam janmani karmani hyakartur agnasya cha varnayanti smakavayo veda guyani kritpate.
Right.
Hare Krishna. Evam janmani karmani hyakartar ajanasya cha varnyanti yasma kavayo veda guhyanti hritpate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam janmani karmani hyakartur ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kevayo veda guyani harpati. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Eva janmani karmani yakarturajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guhyani rutpate. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Evam janmani karmani hyaktar ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavyaya veda guhyani hritpate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam janmani karmani ya akrutur ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guhyanti hritpate.
Right. Anyone else?
Evam janmani karmani yakatur ajanasya cha varnayanti sma kavayo veda guyani ritpata.
Evam janmani karmani hyakartur ajanasya cha वर्णयन्ति स्म कवयो वेदगुह्यानि हृत्पते।
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Evam janmani karmani ya akarturajnasya cha varnayanti sma kavyo veda guhyani ripate. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Anyone else? Okay, so we'll do the word for word. Evam, thus, janmani, birth, karmani, activities, he, certainly, akatu, of the inactive, ajanasya, of the unborn, cha, and, vanayanti, describe, sma, in the past, kavaya, the learned, Veda Guhyani, undiscoverable by the Vedas. Rit Pate, of the Lord of the heart. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, learned men describe the births and the activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Very indirect statement, we'll get to that. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Both the Lord and the living entities are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal, and neither of them has birth and death. The difference is that the so-called births and disappearances of the Lord are unlike those of the living beings. The living beings who take birth and then again accept death are bound by the laws of material nature. But the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not actions of material nature, but are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. They are described by the great sages for the purpose of self-realization. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord that his so-called birth in the material world and his activities are all transcendental, and simply by meditation on such activities, one can attain realization of Brahman and thus become liberated from material bondage. In the Shrutis, it is said that the birthless appears to take birth. The Supreme has nothing to do, but because he is omnipotent, everything is performed by him naturally, as if done automatically. As a matter of fact, the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his different activities are all confidential, even to the Vedic literatures. Yet they are displayed by the Lord to show mercy upon the conditioned souls. We should always take advantage of the narrations and activities of the Lord, which are meditations on Brahman in the most convenient and palatable form. Om Agnatiridam, Om Agnatiridamyasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Chakchu Umritam Jena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam, Shri Guru Vaisnavam Cha, Shri Rupa Sagajatam, Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajiva. Sadvetam, Savadutam, Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva. Sri Radha Krishna Pada, Sahagana Lalita, Sri Vishakam Vitamscha. E Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu, Jagat Pate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostite. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi, Radhi Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami, Hari Priya. Panchakapatrubhyasya kripa sindhive evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hari Rama, Ram Ram, Hari Hari. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Pracharini. Nirvisheshta Sunyabadi Paschatya Deshatarani. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaurati Namaha. Ananda Nidamaya Vigrahaya Himadya Divacha Vishnu Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Sri Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Sri Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Sri Chaitanya Chandaya. So I will read the English translation of a text again. Thus, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. Hare Krishna. So why does this text says thus, which means consequently, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive. So if it says the birth starts with consequently, that means there were some things that were talked about. And then as a consequence, this was arrived at. So a little bit about what's been talked about. When I asked in one sense, lineage of the Lord or incarnations of the Lord, those were the texts earlier. Some were expansions, some were Shaktivesh avatars. And then, so this incarnation and that incarnation, a lot of them, we can't, we've been hearing them anyway. And each incarnation, a little bit about what he did was also talked about. And that's why at the end here, this is saying, all right, so all of this has been talked about. Therefore, learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive. Unborn, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadi Adi Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. He has no beginning. Krishna, Anadi Adi, Anadi. A in the front means not. So Krishna is the origin of everyone, Adi. But Anadi, he doesn't have origin. But if he doesn't have origin, then obviously he's unborn. And when you're born, that's when your time starts. The other day, let me just say something really funny. In Kami class, I was teaching at Indiana University. And chemistry class, and they were defining a few things, time, length, temperature, goes on, electric current. So I'm the one defining it. And then I asked them, because I had already looked in the dictionary, what's time? What's the meaning of time? 116 students could not tell me the definition of time. And nobody thought to even take the cell phone and go on Google and say, what does time mean? So, by Krishna's mercy, I had come up with a definition for them. I said, now you won't find this in a dictionary now, but because of Krishna consciousness, I was able to come up with a definition. Time is an event marker. Now you think about it. Time is an event marker, but it's not in the dictionary. Dictionary goes around and around and around. Krishna consciousness gives you a very simple answer. When were you born? Well, a certain event. The time was there. When did you die? A certain time. When is Janmashtami? A certain time. When is Radha? A certain time. Except Krishna doesn't have time, though. He is time. Now here we know Krishna is time himself. That's why he's up on board. Time is him. It's with him and it's him. But for everybody else, it marks an event. So the four students, professor answered it for them. They all put in a notebook, time equals event marker. I started laughing. They had no idea that I taught them Krishna consciousness in an indirect way. So this is what happens, right? Become a devotee, it goes everywhere. So next time, somebody said, what's the meaning of time? Time is time, time is just time. What do you mean what is time? Tell them it's an event marker. That's all. So again, Krishna's mercy, we got this definition. So many definitions came that I had to put in chemistry because of Krishna consciousness. So when we say Bhagavatam has everything, they are really serious. Those of us who taught before, you know. So to come back to this translation, thus learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn, but the born, I mean, the Lord is unborn, but he comes in different incarnations at certain times according to his will. And that's what's listed. And some people get confused because incarnation number 19 and incarnation number 20 happened to be Krishna and Balaram. Oh, so he was the 19th incarnation, like there's some family that's the 19th born and the 20th born, like, first born and second born. And so lost, they're totally lost. So now Vaishnavas have to explain to me. The Lord comes even in incarnations according to his will. According to his will. Then if that's the case, you're going to say what? Lord Chaitanya is what, 20th incarnation? I mean, 50th incarnation. He came in Kali Yuga for crying out loud. But he's the Lord. So the Lord does things according to his own will. And that's why the translation says, the Lord has come in his own will. The learned men describe the births, they describe the activities of the unborn and inactive. Inactive? Well, unborn means he doesn't have a birth date. Everybody's birth date depends on him. Inactive, he owns everything. He's self-satisfied. A self-satisfied person that owns everything, what is he going to do? What does he need to do? So Krishna is having a good time. Well, if you had everything to do too, would you choose to suffer or would you choose to have a good time? It's obvious. So he just has, that's why he has pastimes. He has pastimes, but only when in situations here in the material world, he is part of a particular episode that's about to unfold, like Mahabharata and so on. And you have all these demons who want to, overrule decency in society and take control. And people have seen Krishna come, and Krishna then becomes obliged for the sake of the devotees and also the non-devotees alike to now go according to the rules. He says, if I don't do that, people will say, oh, Krishna, he's the most popular, even if they don't know that he's God, he's the most popular and he's doing like this, we're all going to follow him. Well, you already know that they say Lord Shiva drank an ocean of poison and people are using it as an excuse to do abominable things, put abominable things in their mouth. So if Krishna doesn't act so-called right, then people will be misled. That's why Krishna comes. We have to take a spiritual master. So he takes a spiritual master. Now, the interesting thing is, he went to school when he wanted to. When he wanted to. Okay, it was arranged by Vasudeva and Devaki. But he's in the heart of Vasudeva and Devaki, so he tells him what to do. The Paramatma. So after the pastime, so Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba are experiencing the pastime of Krishna in one way. And he came to Vasudeva and Devaki, and they are in the prison, and they gave birth to Krishna, and he's gone. And so basically, parenting, when you have a child and he gets 5 years old, he goes to school. But 5 years old and your child is not with you, what you gonna do? You can't take a phone and ring Mother Yashoda, are you taking my child? No. So what happened? You have no choice. So when all of it was done and cancer is now being killed, and then, everything is settled, and then the parents look at him, but you didn't go to school. See how Yoga Maya works? It's so interesting. You didn't go to school. So, all right. So it's wonderful. You've killed cancer. I don't know how you did it. You just came all of a sudden. I'm in the jail, and here's this effulgent son of ours has come, 16 years old. Oh, okay. You open the door. The gates have been locked all this time, and the guards open the door. Everybody's smiling. They look, what's going on? We would like to announce to you that your son has killed cancer, and so now you are free. He's not coming here anymore. So what joy? So Mother Yashoda starts from the beginning, right? Everything from the beginning. he reset the clock, and she reset the clock. What do they do? When a child gets born, don't you give the child breast milk? Yes, you do. So he takes the grown Krishna, puts it on his lap, on her lap, and gives her breast to him. So for her, Devaki, he started in the beginning. Therefore, don't be surprised that later on it says, all right, you got to go to school. You have to go to school. Krishna says, oh, yes, mother, we'll go to school. Sandipani Muni, both of you, go to school. You enjoyed in Goku pastimes. That's all right. In Vrindavan, yes, we heard you killed some demons, but you didn't go to school. So Krishna is going to be educated. And he went flawlessly through this whole thing. The pastimes of Krishna are too much. So no, he's not the 19th and 20th incarnation. By his will, he stuck himself in that situation, but he's the Supreme Lord forever. And nobody can come up to this level. Now, therefore, Mataji, I need Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 7, if you can pull it up. Bhagavad Gita 7:7. 7:7. I can quote it, but since it can be pulled up so devotees can read. Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 7.
Yes, okay. Prabhu, I'll get it.
Sure. I'll just read the Sanskrit only while you're doing that.
Okay.
Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Mayi sarvam idam prutam sutrimani gana iva. So, what does it mean? Krishna says,
which verse?
Bhagavad Gita 7, text 7, exactly, 7. So, I'm at the translation anyway, so okay. So, all right, so Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Gana Iva. Mata Parataram Nanyat Kinchit Asi Dhananjaya. Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Gana Iva. By the way, my spiritual master, but I like to quote it a whole lot. So I remember the translation, English translation too. O conqueror of wealth, talking to Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests on me as pearls are strung on a thread. Here's Krishna's superiority, even though he wound up going to school at the request of his mother. But everything rests on him now. So, I won't deal with purpose so much, just only that part. Conqueror of worth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests on me as pearls are strung on a thread. If you can imagine that. Balaram, Ananta, the hoods, supporting the entire universes, material universes, and that's the first expansion of Krishna. So Krishna owns everything. Krishna is everything. Without Krishna, there is no existence. There simply is no existence. Material and spiritual is all from him. So where else should we turn but to him and surrender to him and also obey his laws as he sets them? In one sense, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said this. He quoted from one of the Puranas. And then he translated it and said, so if somebody lives life on this earth in a human body, there are other types of bodies there, human body, and does not take advantage of what is there for surrendering to Krishna, that person is a miser. Why miser? Well, what is a miser? A person that doesn't like to spend. Well, a person that is not taking Krishna consciousness seriously is after the material energy. It's material energy. It's either material or spiritual. You don't take spiritual seriously, then material, and your karma would decide to whatever extent you can so-called enjoy the material. So a miser is a person who has neglected the spiritual opportunity to go back to Godhead. That's what miser means. Nothing else is important. And just before this lecture started, I don't know why this is out there, just hearing the chanting of the holy name. of a Lord Japa on YouTube, and it finished, and it just automatically switched to of all wonderful sannyasis, Govinda Maharaj. So it wasn't time yet. I listened to a little bit of what Govinda Maharaj was saying, and he just put things so simply. Premadana, the wealth of love of Krishna. Golokera Premadama, Golokera Premadan, Harinam Sankirtan. In Goloka Vrindavan, Golokera Prema, the wealth of the wealth of the love of the Lord is the Harinam Sankirtan. In other words, in the spiritual world, that's the main thing that they are about. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Therefore, a person that does not take to the holy name and lives a human life with the intelligence that could understand this and doesn't do it, and winds up in the material world in another body, rather than going back to Godhead, cutting off the opportunity for the greatest enjoyment in the spiritual world, that person is cheap indeed. Spiritually, that person is cheap. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj says he's a miser. In the meantime, he'll have plenty of wealth. And that's the funny part. Govinda Maharaj says, such a person, they can have this wealth, that, this wealth, and they go, my this, in other words, property, this, my this, my this, my this. He says, Krishna is going to take it all away. He's going to take it all away. He comes as death. So he says, give everything up, get out of here. He says, give everything up. What do you need all this thing for? All these material things, you're going to die anyway. Give it up and get out of here. Get out of here, go to the spiritual world. That's what life should be about. So, wonderful thing early in the morning. That's the what I got just before starting, so I thought I'd share it. All right, so the purport. Both the Lord and living entities are essentially all spiritual. Now, if you pop up with essentially all spiritual, the Lord is completely spiritual, and the living entities are supposed to be completely spiritual, but they got a body that's material tagged on to them. So essentially, when you go into the depths of it, we are spiritual. And that's what Papa says, we are not the body, you're not the body, you're not the body. That's another way of saying we're spiritual, just like the Lord is spiritual. So both the Lord and the living entities are essentially all spiritual. Therefore, both of them are eternal, and neither of them has birth and death. We are part of the soul of Krishna himself, of the great soul, the super soul. We are little souls connected to the super soul. The super soul has no beginning. Then if we're part of it, we can't have a beginning as souls either. We've been around as Krishna has been around, which is, we can't calculate the time because he's unborn. So our souls are actually unborn. Eternal, no beginning. And that's what the Prabhupada is saying. Both of them are eternal, the Lord and the spirit soul. Neither of them has birth and death. So the soul doesn't get born and the soul doesn't die. The soul appears in the womb at this point for living entities or the female species generally. And then the time comes and Krishna decides whether they're coming back to Godhead, fine, if you've been a devotee and a good one. If not, then the soul passes through certain kinds of bodies, bodies, sizes of different kinds of bodies. I like to call them small, medium, large. Small means baby, medium means maybe teenage, and then large means a grown adult. And then it starts breaking down. It's called old age. And then gone. Over Yovanam Jara. Jara is old man. Tata, similarly, when that body is gone, there's another body. Dehantara Prapti. So a person that is sober, Dhira Statana Muhyati, a person that's sober is not surprised by this. But that's what's going on in the material world. And Shri wants us to go home because we will never be happy here if we get riches in this material world or poverty in the material world. It doesn't matter. We are going to have a pain experience pain in birth, whether we forget or remember, it doesn't matter. The pain is still given. The baby suffers, the mother suffers. We are going to go back to school, material things. We are going to get harassed by other living entities, some of whom will make us sick, germs. And it's like they say, excuse me, I'm just trying to live. Mosquito doesn't try to give you malaria. No, mosquito just trying to give you just a good tank of blood. It wants a little bit. So it just comes and then puts his little tube in there and you pour and then take some of it out. It's not even too much. It doesn't hoard anything. Just take what he needs. But then it rewards you with something in the end. That's called a germ. And it goes in your body. The mosquito is gone. The germ is also a living entity. And they start. And then there are some, germs that try to, wait a minute. You're not supposed to be here. So we're going to try. And then a war starts. And sometimes when the body wins, then you're well. And when the body does not win, the germs take over. And now you got the disease. And you're sick. And you're suffering. And you say you're happy. A poor man gets sick. A rich man gets sick. Rich man says, I can pay my bills. Sure, you can pay all your insurance, or your medical bills, but does that mean you don't suffer? You suffer anyway. The poor man may not be able to pay. The rich man may be able to pay, but both of them suffer the disease. So there's no getting around it. Old age, if you're not old yet, you'll get there. We all grow old in time, as my mother used to tell me. In time, you grow old. Because when she was old, we were little, we were very active. And she was slow. Now we're slow. And our children are active. Guess what? When we're gone, and they get to that point, they'll be slow. So it's like that. The soul, when we are in the spiritual world, we are never slow. We do whatever we want to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the servants. Servant, at any way that we want. So Papa said in one lecture, no, not lecture, morning walk. People are asking, devotees are trying to inquire about the soul in the spiritual world. So, well, Papa, how does the service, what is the basis for the service? He says it's all voluntary. You do what you want. And I'm thinking, voluntary, so I can do what I like. Maybe my ego will kick in and do something against Krishna. But he was actually talking about whatever you want. The soul can transform itself or him. Well, the soul can transform from one body to another. So your original swarup may be a particular type, but you still, this is for Golok Vrindavan, for the pastime that's supposed to happen. So Papa says, the soul can be an ant, and when the flower is thrown at Krishna's feet, the ant may get to Krishna's toe and decide to kiss Krishna's toe. The ants here, they bite us, right? And the spiritual world, they will kiss. This is just wonderful. And he says, this kind of work is as good as what the Pujari does. So many things going on. And when it comes to Pujari, that's another story. Because in the intimacy part, Krishna and the highly elevated and highly placed gopis, there's some of the things that we do here on the altar, the Pujaris do, they do for Krishna himself. I'm talking about dressing the deity, bathing the deity, the Lalitas and Vishakhas and so on at that level. They are the different level that Krishna allows them not only to associate with him, but even do things like that, getting him ready. All of that's going on. So we have an opportunity to have endless enjoyment. We say, oh, the soul is supposed to serve Krishna. Some people think when you're serving the servants, then you don't, you're just a servant. And Krishna is a master. No, we enjoy due to the service. And so in the purport, and please, you don't have to pull it up. The purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, and Text 1. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Srila Prabhupada defines another way of who Krishna is as far as enjoyment and who we are as far as enjoyment. He called Krishna the supreme enjoyer and we the subordinate enjoyers. For the first time, he said Jiva is also enjoyer. We are the subordinate enjoyers. So we serve Krishna, but we enjoy. Let's take a mundane example. So you are the driver of a very rich man. You drive his car. Obviously, a rich man doesn't have a small Honda or something. Big, expensive car. Let's just say Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce. So in the morning he said, okay, please take me to a meeting. I have to be there at 9 o'clock. All right, sir. You get behind the wheel. He sits in the back, or she sits. It doesn't matter what the wealthy person is. Gender doesn't matter. You drive this person, get there in time to start the meeting, for him to start his meeting at 9 o'clock. Come pick me up at 5. Make sure that at 5 o'clock you're here. Yes, sir. So then you drop this rich person in his Rolls Royce, and then you leave. And you're going to pick him up. You come maybe about 4:45 or something like that, make sure that he's there. Now, between the time you drop him off and the time you pick him up, who got the car? The rich man? Of course not. You got the car. Do you own it? Of course not. You can't afford it. But you got it though. You're the one that's enjoying it. Now, if everybody sees you, say, oh, this guy, look at him. He's driving Rolls Royce. He's a very rich guy. No, he's a servant of a rich person, that he's serving the rich person, and it looks like he's enjoying. And that's what subordinate enjoyer is. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. But when we serve him with amenities that's so nice, that's wonderful to enjoy them. So all that time, he can stop anywhere. He can stop at a mall and park the car. Oh, wow, somebody got a Rolls Royce. Who is that? They want to see that person. But the person, that driver, though, in the meantime, the owner is at the meeting with other big shots, whatever they do. So the enjoyment is there. Don't think we're going to go to the spiritual world to scrape things and feel sorry for ourselves. Absolutely not. And so if somebody has the Rolls Royce belonging to the rich man, Krishna, and somebody is also in a wonderful estate, nice building, like a palace, but that's where souls stay. Krishna has a huge palace. Yours may not be as big as his, but compared to anywhere else, wonderful. So then one person has a Rolls Royce and the other one has a palace, and then both of them get out and they go have a good time. Subordinate enjoyers, but is this small time? Some rich people don't even have that opportunity. Middle class people, forget it. Nowhere near. Upper middle class, nowhere. How many people afford a Rolls Royce and a huge palace to live in? See, so that's what's there. This is a mundane example, but that's what's there for us. And we're sitting here, yes, I got to work, and I have to pay this and pay that. And they're going to take the taxes. So when they change the tax laws, they say, what am I going to do? You know, I paid taxes. I got tax return last year, and this year, the new administration coming all of a sudden, in a matter of days, they've changed the tax rules, and now I owe more money. The question, who's asking you to stay here in the material world? Who's asking you? So take advantage of what we have now. Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And as Govinda Maharaj put it bluntly, get out. Get out, because your enjoyment is out there in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada comes and says, I will take you back to Godhead. You chant 16 rounds, 64 rounds, but I've reduced 3/4 off, and and then you can just, of course, you're not allowed to go back to spiritual world chanting less than 64 rounds. But it's Prabhupada's mercy. Krishna, okay, these people were from me. I allowed them to chant 16 rounds minimum, and therefore just, and if it all doesn't work, it says, we can go in the spiritual world in the back door, right? Nobody's looking to go in the spiritual world anyway. So the opportunity is there. And all of that is saying, we go, I think I'm going to work hard and earn more money so that I can be taxed more and I can have more anxiety. What does the matter with you? I do that. So what's most important in our life is Krishna. See, Prabhupada says, everything you do should be connected one way or another to Krishna. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur said, you're a miser if you do that. We have no choice. So now, what should we do? Well, let's go to the purport, and hopefully with some time left, by the mercy of my guru and Shipapa, we'll talk about some points and what to do that just come as realizations. All right, now, so the difference is that the so-called births and disappearances of the Lord are unlike those of living beings. The Lord just comes in his own sweet will. He's spiritual, he comes spiritual, he remains spiritual, he leaves spiritual, and the spiritual doesn't get born, therefore. He comes at an event marker, determined by him, time determined by him, as he likes. So if he put himself on number 19, don't sweat it. He doesn't even have, he's a first, always. All right, now, Sipapa continues. The living beings who take birth and then again accept birth, death are bound by the laws of material nature. That's where it is, birth and death. So now we're going to bring something a little controversial, but important to talk about, coronavirus. Many people were scared when coronavirus hit. Oh, I'm going to die. I'm in the middle of trying to get my life together, and now this pandemic has come and it's thrown everything off, and I'm going to die. I'm going, huh? People were dying before coronavirus came, and people are going to die when coronavirus leaves. You don't know about death? What is the cause of death? It's birth. You get born, then you die. You got to remember that. If you're not born in your soul, you cannot get coronavirus infection from, or soul cannot get coronavirus infection. You live by Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 23, 24. It can be moistened, it can be squeezed, it can be burned with fire, it can certainly not get coronavirus. And you look at coronavirus as small as it is, the devotee's faith has gone so far down. It's so small you can't even see it. And you don't think Krishna can control it. But Krishna has been killing Putina that's 12 miles long, and Agasura that's 9 miles long. And these huge things, that little bug, no, all we have to do is go by the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He said in every, and this is a Prabhupada disciple, that's an attorney. And we had a conversation about some things when I was in Gitanagri. And he said, Srila Prabhupada said, in every country, devotees must obey the letter of the law. He's an attorney, so he just put it like that, the letter of the law. So all you have to do is, something like this happens, you know that Krishna is in control of everything. Okay, so devotees really can't be taken out by anything. Krishna determines when devotees die and when, when they, how long they live. Rake Krishna, more Krishna, Rake. Krishna says you're dead, nobody can save you. Krishna says I'm going to save you, nobody can kill you. So that's the situation we're in. So when the pandemic has come, we have to be a little smart about it. Your Prabhupada says, obey the letter of the law in every country. So when the country authority says, do this, you do it. Even though you know the ultimate protection is from Krishna himself, you do it. Why? Because of the PR for ISKCON, the public relationship. If you don't do things like that, they're going to say the Hare Krishnas in this country, they don't want to obey the laws, therefore they're bad, and all of a sudden, everything that Srila Prabhupada has worked hard for, we have messed up simply by not obeying the laws of the country. So if you don't do what the country tells you to do, you run the risk of giving ISKCON a bad name because we are devotees. That's important. So for that reason, then you take by whatever. Some sannyasis did it because they didn't realize that you have to protect Prabhupada's name by taking the vaccination, all those kind of things. I didn't want it. But as soon as I heard that our prominent sannyasis in ISKCON had taken it, I said, if they take it, I'll take it. I have to follow them, but it protects the Prabhupada's reputation, his society's reputation, though, because the Hare Krishna people are bad. You see how revolutionary they are. You see how we always knew it. They are a cult, and the government says this. They said the other thing. See, there was virus vaccination. They didn't take it. That's how you ruin your name. But spiritually, though, nobody can do any harm to devotees. So we have to be smart about it if we want to follow ISKCON situation and make sure ISKCON is safe. Of course, there can be varying, but this is one man's opinion. Spiritually, any sannyasi will tell you, coronavirus can't kill you. Coronavirus kills you, and you're scared the coronavirus kills you. Then you're minimizing Krishna. Krishna can't protect you. And you sing the Sringadev songs, and you say Krishna can't protect you. And I don't mean to be condescending, but some people just took it to a certain level. That it was so bad. So let's be calm. There will be another pandemic after that. It never stops. This is the material world. Demons plan one thing after another. So if you don't like it, like Guru Maharaj said, go home. He says, get out of here. So Papa says, follow me and I'll take you. Same thing. So we have an opportunity. Take advantage of it. Be Krishna conscious. Okay, back to the purport. So, the so-called appearance and disappearance of the Lord are not actions of material nature. See, we that are conditioned souls, they have material nature, makes us take birth and we go through karma and then get old, and based on this, whatever we're able to do this lifetime, then we just take that karma. And this is people who are not devotees. Then the next time, the ones that are not mature, they give you another body. And if, poor you think about a dog at the time you died, then everything gets put on hold because you go in the dog body and the dog doesn't have karma. So, I mean, so many things. So many things. Complications here. A complicated jail situation. But once we get out, we're fine. Get out means go back to Godhead. So the so-called appearance and disappearance of a Lord, the Lord is not material, this constitution, but they are demonstrations of the internal potency of the Lord. And they are described by the great sages so that we realize Krishna, who he is and who we are. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. He has all opulences and he is superior and nobody is superior to him or even at his level. And that is Bhagavad Gita 7:7 that we talked about, that we pulled up. So all his activities are transcendental. He said it, one who understands that my appearance and my activities are all transcendental will never take birth in this place. And so we got to get to the point that by Krishna's mercy, we will begin to see the transcendental aspect for real, and hook onto it. So some of the things that we can do. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is the Yugadam for this Kali Yuga. You chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You're doing the right thing. But then Rupa Goswami says, think of Krishna all the time. Never forget Krishna. If you hear Krishna's name, you will naturally think of Krishna. So then if you think of Krishna all the time, one of the ways you can do is hear the holy name all the time. All the time. So then you can have a device that plays Srila Prabhupada's chanting and play it all of the time. As we speak now, where I'm at, about 7 or 8 feet away from me, there's a cell phone tuned low, volume low, chanting Srila Prabhupada Japa right now. Now, I am not any magician or anything. I'm just following what they do. So we start to think, all right, so they said, remember Krishna. Rupa Goswami said, don't forget him. So if I do something that reminds me of him, and that thing is continuous, then I remember him continuously. So play Japa the whole day and night. So that's what we do. We have YouTube, there's one on there, that one video that's Prabhupada, some devotee has nicely put it together, and this is stretched it to 10 hours and 47 minutes. And we just play it. Play, and then tune into a volume that's okay, not too loud, but we can hear it. And so all day, 10 hours you can chew easily, 10 hours and 47 minutes, almost 11 hours. So we just get to it before it gets to the end, we roll, we push it right back to the beginning, and there it goes, another 10 hours. You just keep going. If you're at work, you can have cell phone and you can have your earbuds. You don't want anybody to listen to you. What's on there, people, commies listen to anything mundane, and you listen to the holy name. The holy name, Srila Prabhupada's Japa chanting has such an effect. Srila Prabhupada, and I know he's got his disciples, some are gurus, they've chanted it, but I know Bhakti Maharaj has, his Japa, people recorded him when he was chanting and they played. That's there in my God family. And then there's one that's, Japtaka Swami and Anand Swami, and all, that's all. Srila Prabhupada's chanting is the beginning. Srila Prabhupada is the beginning, the head of ISKCON. When he has more of things about him than anyone else. And you take that and you put it out. So right now, that's what we're feeling. The effect of a chanting of Srila Prabhupada. Now, we may hear it, and it benefits us. But there are so many living entities that also hear Srila Prabhupada's chanting. We don't see them, but they are everywhere. Not all pervading, though. We'll get that far. We don't see them. We call them germs, bacteria. They're so small, we can't see them with the mundane eyes. And I looked at the article the other day, and he said that well over 10 million can be in a regular sized bedroom. 10 million or so of the bacteria. Every one of them has a soul and super soul, every one of them. And the soul has senses, real senses. After all, the Hare Krishna mantra is from the spiritual world. So isn't the real, sound heard by the ear or the hearing capability of the soul? We just fortunate to hear it now with our mundane ears, but they're already used to it. So every soul can hear the holy name. So if you have it playing, the Hare Krishna mantra, you benefit yourself and millions of other species too, especially the bacteria they're hearing. Then they're a little bigger size compared to bacteria like the ants, and so they also hear. And in the trees, they hear. When you're outside, that's why when you go for a japa walk, you may not have to shout Hare Krishna very loud because people think you're a madman or madwoman, but you certainly can speak out. If you keep it in your mind, none of those living entities hear it. So you're not being merciful then to them. But you speak out a little bit. Believe you me, there are at least 10,000 bacteria around our face. They'll hear it. They go to our nose and everywhere else. They'll hear it. And ears, they all benefit. So we benefit a whole lot of, there's huge, huge, huge difference between chanting out loud and chanting in the mind. Chanting out loud is not only beneficial for us to be able to stay focused and the mind not traveling to somewhere else, but there's an uncountable number, millions of living entities that we call germs that we can't see, they also benefit. So now let's not cheat them of the opportunity to hear the holy name by just chanting to ourselves. That does not mean, or silently, that does not mean the situation when it calls for it, you shouldn't. But give mercy by giving the holy name like that. So now chant, and so that's why we have Srila Prabhupada's, japa tape, that video going on. So all the living entities around this, where it is, we have it in 3 different rooms. They all benefit. They all benefit. And this is a simple thing to do. You remember the Lord yourself because the chanting is going on. That's one way to do it. We're just humbly sharing that. Now, there are other things. From the chanting of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's name, the Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada's chanting is purifying. You wonder, well, am I going to be a better devotee? If you keep hearing over and over and over again, it will have an effect on your subconscious because the founder Acharya's own chanting is that potent. So just stay with it. That's all. Stay with it. Hear the holy name. Hear the holy name every day and every day. If you do that, now the lectures begin to make more sense to you because it becomes deeper. Now there's more willingness to do things right. There's more willingness to be friendly to everybody. You feel happy inside. People can pick up on it. And when people are picking up on it and you feel happy inside, they come to you and they also express whatever they want to express to you in a joyful mood. So then you affect everybody that way. Devotees and non-devotees alike. Because they can feel, in town, they can feel you're different. It doesn't matter what color of your skin, it doesn't matter at all. So from the chanting of the holy name, you hear the Lord's instructions and kata, matita matita pana bodantas kata antas mamtya kata antas mamtya tushanti charumantia. Sorry, I mixed it up. The Lord's devotees always think of the Lord. Their life, everything is about the Lord. They hear lectures about the Lord. They make discussions about the Lord, and that's how they're happy. So devotees should always talk about Krishna when they meet, even if they talk about things that are material and discuss that. At least one of the persons speaking should have a Krishna angle to bring Krishna angle or Krishna notion, Krishna connection to the conversation so that all devotees can remember Krishna, even when they're having things about their own material life, the material aspect of their life. Even that, bring Krishna into the conversation. That way you hear about Krishna the whole time. Now you have to associate with devotees because non-devotees will not talk about Krishna to you. It's not their business. They don't make it their business. Some people are so unfortunate that if you try to convert them to Krishna consciousness, they'll fight you. Well, at least you can give them some snack, snack that's offered to Krishna. So prashadam, so then they take Krishna that way. And they can start their lives later. Krishna will determine their spiritual lives when they really, really start later. You just do your part. In the summertime, you can take prashadam, a small amount that's offered. Go outside, put it next to a tree. The bugs will come for it. Cockroaches, ants, and so on. At night, they'll come eat it. You've given them prashad, all of them. Their souls are going to be delivered. The maha water that you drink, you've been drinking it for how many months and years. Take the maha water that you offer, go outside and pour it on the grass with the deliberate mind of giving the maha water to the entities in the grass so that they can also spread the mercy that way. So come up with all kinds of innovative ways to spread the holy name. Now, if you do that, Krishna is going to be very happy with you. And now your spiritual life is going to be wonderful. The more you serve others, not just human beings only, from the examples we talked about, even the bacteria you can serve just by the holy name, speaking it out loud so they can hear. But when you understand that this is what you're doing, and since some of you may not have understood that, we use the science to tell you that this is actually what you're doing. That many bacteria are benefiting when you chant the holy name in the room everywhere you are. Everywhere, temple or outside. So the advantage is there to be given to every conditioned soul. If you do it, Krishna will know, I want this person to come home. And he's getting so many people prepared also to come home. Now, why would I let somebody like that stay in the material world for another life, material life? No, you can come home. Unless the person himself is so happy and says, Krishna, my God sister, we talked about going back to Godhead. How do you feel about it? You know what she told me? She says, the spiritual world is not going anywhere. I was very impressed. All right. This is Lord Chaitanya's Mama Janmani Shwari Bhavata Bhakti Ahoy. Birth after birth, I'd like to be doing bhakti, serve you. Well, you don't have birth in the spiritual world because we are souls already. We don't give birth to souls, don't give birth to souls. They are all part and parcels of Krishna. So birth after birth, when Lord Chaitanya says birth after birth, he means the material world. So I want to stay here and serve you. Bhakti, even if you don't have all the amenities that they have, the kind of amenities that they have in the spiritual world for serving, but the heart is the same though. The soul is the same. Whether in the spiritual world or whether in the material world, and you serve with all your heart, it's the same. It's the same. So then she said to me, material world is not going anywhere. I mean, the spiritual world is not going anywhere, which means whenever the Lord wants, he can take me. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada says. Go back to Godhead. That is Srila Prabhupada showing his mercy. But the real deal, sometimes he says, just keep serving. Just keep serving. Going back to Godhead, or whether you be allowed back to Godhead, that's Krishna's business. Krishna is very kind. So then if you serve and you don't offend devotees, don't offend anyone, then you have a very high chance of going. If you offend another soul, then you're making that person or that soul, that body, and the soul, their mind, get turned off. So you think it's your own petty argument between one and the other person, but you're Hare Krishna, and you did this to me. So now, well, I don't like you. I think you are connected to this person. Well, that's your friend, so now he's my enemy. I don't like him. And next thing you know, you don't like so many people, and many people are looking at you and say, you cause so much trouble, so they don't like you. Now, you have a temple full of people who are quiet about it, but they don't like each other, or some things about each other. And so the temple is going bad. It's not going What happened? Temples don't do anything. People do things. So if we behave properly, then yeah, we'll be fine. And if we don't, we are our own worst enemies. And at the end, so okay, all right. So you chanted nicely, but you offended people. Krishna says, all right, we could have sent you to the spiritual world, but go back and try it again. At least we give you the message. You can continue where you left off, but you have some work to do. Aparad is trouble. That's a long way of saying aparad is trouble. So we should make sure that when we hear the holy name constantly, to summarize, we hear the holy name constantly, Srila Prabhupada especially, chanting or japa. It purifies the mind. It purifies the atmosphere. Then all of the problems that we think, we have to find some ways to do it. Srila Prabhupada's own potency changes our hearts and makes us better people. And now, without even knowing, we start relating to people well. That potency, that chanting has that much potency. Very easy way, but you have to do it day and night though. Day and night, a little bit of, then you stop. No, that's not going to work so well, because Krishna says, the extent to which you surrender, he works accordingly. So if you just keep the whole name, holy name the whole day, well, you get more rewards. Makes you a better devotee. Hare Krishna. So we stop here. Sorry, I may have gone a little long, but I'll read the translation again. I have it. So this text, thus learned men describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of our heart. And by the way, what that means is the Vedic literatures, we talk about him, but the Lord is experienced in the heart ourselves. The Vedic literatures may help us, guide us to the Lord, but we have to take the holy name in our hearts. Hare Krishna. Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Yes. I think, okay, let me start. John, are you there?
Yes, Mother Renuka has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much for your effervescent and, you always bring, that high energy to the table. Thank you so much for today's lecture.
Krishna's Guru's mercy and Krishna's mercy, that's their energy. I'm just reflecting it. That's all. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. As always, I'll always have like some question or the other that relates to what is going on in my personal life, because I want to make sure that all these sacred literatures are relevant to what is going on in my life, because I have to apply it to my life at the end of the day.
I agree with you.
So you're in a certain group, it's an alumni group, and you have the best of intentions for the group. And for some reason or the other, looks like the group is not at the same level of emotional maturity as I am.
Wait, this is a group of non-devotees, or all of them are devotees? It makes a big difference.
They're all nice people, and they are all like mix of Hindus. I think one or two Muslims and some Christians. So they're all Hindu and religious people. Sure. They're all religious people.
Religious. Okay, go ahead.
And some of them are like core Krishna people too. Some of them are like Yadav.
I like that.
Yadavs, like the pure, the descendants of Lord Krishna. You call them Yadavs in India, like if you know it or not.
Yadu dynasty people. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a mix of people. Even with the best of intentions, I don't get accepted in that group. What should I do?
The Lord, that is Lord Chaitanya, he gave definition of a Vaishnava. What is the definition of a Vaishnava? A Vaishnava is the person who does not associate with non-Vaishnavas. So what you describe here, for the most part, the majority of the people are non-Vaishnavas. So you may do work with them, in other words, give your association to them, but don't take your association, their association. They're already not giving it to you anyway. As you said, they don't want to accept you. What are you worried about? Do the best you can by being a good example of a nice person, because you represent Srila Prabhupada also. You may not think about it that way, but every ISKCON member represents Srila Prabhupada. Every time somebody does something bad, you're going to say, oh, he did this bad and he's a Hare Krishna. Immediately he's a Hare Krishna, they've insulted indirectly Srila Prabhupada. So you give your association to them when you have meetings. describe everything in a nice, mild way. Even if they irk you, don't show it, because they will do it. They are mundane. They are mode of goodness, passion, and especially ignorance. And you understand goodness and transcendence. So they're not at your level, but they don't know that you have that kind of background spiritually. They are religious, you are spiritual. Jesus says, Sabadharma, abandon all varieties of religion. But here we are on this earth. They are around us. So if you're in, you show ways in which Vaishnavas behave so that they can pick up from your example. You don't tell them, just show by your example. When they want to fight you and it's going to be horrible, back off, back off, back off. Krishna sees what's going on. If you back off, you have given a good reputation. Sometimes they may insult you. Even Krishna warned Narada Muni, you're going to go to Kansa's camp. I've sent you there, but be careful because these are demons. They're going to say something you may not like. Narada Muni says, yes, Krishna. He went there and he spoke to Kansa and they looked at him and called him a fool. Narada Muni, Murk. And they said, no, Mahamurk, worse than that. And he started laughing at him. Narada Muni, the guy that played that role, that it was a part of the movie too, but it's like that. You can easily relate to it. Narada Muni remembered, Krishna told me that these fools are not going to hear me. These fools are not going to hear me. And so he says, that's their problem. And he walked out. But they were laughing at him. So they're going to do all kinds of things. They may do it there. Understand them. Understand where they are. Namam diskritito muda papadante naradama maya paritagyana asrim. That's who you with them. So Papa comes out and calls them fools, rascals. So you said it nicely, religious, they're rascals. So Papa says, you're not God conscious, well, you're rascal. So you are with rascals, accepted. Okay, that's the first thing. You are with rascals. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. What do I care? Krishna says, abandon these religions. If the religions were good, would Krishna say, abandon them? So they're rascals. They've heard about Krishna. They don't want to go to Krishna. And you're with Krishna. So you're smart and they are rascals. So if you're dealing with them, but don't condescend though, even though you understand that. So you are like spiritually the parent and spiritually, they're not so high there. So then you have to experience their stuff, but also respond to it with maturity. And you'll be fine. And after a while, you just leave. Don't associate so many things with aluminum. All right, so aluminum with group, they'll have something. Sometimes they'll have whatever, the things against regulatory principles. They may have drinks there and all of that. But you don't take it. Don't take it. Can I tell one pastime, one story? Then I'll just stop. It was me. I had been accepted. I applied for a job as a teacher in a liberal arts college, not too far from Gidanagri. And they accepted me. And so before the class, the semester was supposed to start, the head of the chemistry department decided to throw a party at his house and invited everybody, including us new people. And I'm going, so I have to go eat this kami food, boy. Krishna says, if you eat food that's not offered, you barely eat sin. But here I am. I've accepted a job, I have to go. So it's potluck. You can bring whatever, right? So my wife cooked, and when she cooked, she didn't go. I took it there, and they said, "Oh!" And then they called my name and said, "Okay, so your wife, but we've seen her. She came to, long story. Anyway, so the prasadam was there, about 3 different preps, and so we all started eating. Well, guess what I ate? Ate only the prasadam for my wife. But the head of the department was very observant. He says, Patrick, you're eating only what your wife has cooked. I noticed that. So then I took a little bit of ice cream that I knew didn't have eggs in it. I said Sri Vishnu on it and had it just to satisfy him. But I never ate anybody's anything because I knew what it meant. All right? I'm not a high level devotee, but you have to be conscious to where you are and what people are doing. So my wife really saved me by just, and they got the benefit of eating the prasadam that my wife cooked. So they got benefit. And I got the situation of preventing what would cause sin to me eating their stuff. So, Mataji, this is life. This is life. You just, just be intelligent. Then intelligence is not yours, it's from Krishna. So you pray. in a situation like that. Don't say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? No, Krishna, what should I do? Shiva Prabhupada, what should I do? Then let them relate to you what you should do. So one circumstance to another, they control your life. You will be, all of a sudden they will say, boy, Renuk, we don't know what to do. She is so wonderful. No, you're just Krishna conscious, that's all. Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay. Good question, bringing it up. Sorry it took so long. Any other questions? Okay.
Prabhu, I like that time is event
marker.
Marker. I like that one.
Well, Krishna gave it to me on the
I
spur of the
learn
moment.
that. That I liked it so much. It was
Hare
so good today.
Krishna's
Hare
mercy,
Krishna,
Guru's
Prabhuji.
mercy. Hare Krishna.
Very, very, very enlightening class. Very enlightening.
Krishna's mercy. Guru's mercy.
Because of the pandemic, we are able to hear from you. And I wish I could have received these advices before, long time ago.
There's a time for everything. Don't doubt Krishna. There's a time for everything. I was never like that, and all of a sudden, I don't know where all this energy came from. I'm supposed to be almost 70 years old. He wouldn't know it. I'm screaming like a madman.
That's true, Prabhu. That's true. I'm also like that. At the end of this lifetime, we learned a lot of things. As Suman Mataji said, we would have learned a lot of things before. But, life is another experience.
Yeah. And everybody that delivers speech delivers it their own way. At this point, I don't know what's coming inside me. Believe me, normally I'm a very calm person. I'm in front of university students teaching. This is my job as a professor. Professor will go around screaming, very calm. And so that life I've led already. But now that I'm retired away from it, we just let it all hang out for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sorry. But yeah, it's Guru's potency.
Guru's mercy.
Yeah, it's not us.
And especially when we are working in this material world, everybody goes for work. So they're managing, maintaining like that. I also worked. I used to do like that. And when they spend anything for my birthday, I said, no, don't spend any money on me. And then, I used to talk to my plants, whoever gives it, I used to put, they say, oh, he's very crazy, she talks to the plants. I said, oh no, they also have life, but you're eating fruits and other things, So that's how I used to tell. And then prasadam also, whatever I used to cook and take potluck, that's all I used to eat. And they never bothered. They didn't insist me, at work, whatever they have, they used to eat, but they never insisted that, you are like this. At workplace also, you're managing, what is this? Like that. And then they said, you missed a lot, not eating non-veg. So I said, no, from childhood I didn't eat. I don't know the taste at all. I don't know. I don't bother about that. So like that, things are there.
Devotees.
And I feel you're our real guru. I really feel that we need guru. You're our guru.
Devotees, non-devotees tend to think that devotees are missing out.
We are missing a lot, they say.
Yeah, we are. We are missing their sense gratification.
But other than that, I used to give vegetarian food to them. And sometimes they don't know. See, here the cooking is different. We use all the different spices and everything. They used to like that food. So we never ate this vegetable like this. But I said, we prepare different ways, that's how we offer to God. And that is the prasadam.
They said that's the secret weapon, and prasadam. Slowly we'll work on them, and then Krishna will later on, sooner or later, as he likes, get them into being more open to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly, Hare Krishna.
But I never changed when I was working also. I didn't change anything. And at my eating habits or my living habits also. At first they were strange and they used to feel strange. But later on they were used to and they never bothered. They didn't ask me anything.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Every place that I went to teach, my office, I made sure that sometimes you have a place to take, people more than one person in the office. I always took a small office, but for me alone, so I could do my Krishna conscious things there too. Hare Krishna. Awesome, made sure we did that. So anyway, any situation you're in, you have to be smart about it, how to make sure that Krishna consciousness continues wherever you are. That's the key. That's the key. Then you can remember Krishna all the time. And then go back.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Nice class.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
If
all
the
right.
other person doesn't, is not, Hare Krishna is not chanting or is not into Krishna consciousness and prepare the vegetarian food, it's okay to eat?
I had trouble hearing you. I know you were talking about food, but
yeah, but I'm saying if the other person is not a devotee or not Krishna, doesn't know about Krishna consciousness, and they invite us the food, vegetarian food.
Yeah,
it's okay.
That you cooked, that you made, you prepared for them.
No, if I don't. No, if they prepare for us vegetarian food.
Well, at least the intent was not to give you meat, so that's one thing that's good for that. But you have to be careful. There's something, I mean, if you can't back out of it and you don't have your own prasadam, and the situation is such that everybody's looking at what you got to eat, then yeah, you eat the vegetarian food because of the circumstance, the time, the place, and the circumstance. Desha Kalapata. But you certainly should pray to your guru that you are in a challenging situation, because if you say no, they may think something negative. And I'm not a proponent of lying about something just to get out of it. No. So at that point, some devotees will say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, and then the pranam to their spiritual master, okay, and then take a little bit, that it's an unfortunate situation. I know, Krishna, normally this would be something I wouldn't touch because it's not offered to you, but the situation is got me tied up. And you just go on. But still, your behavior and all of that will show that you're a good devotee. So that should be there. You can show by example in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like this because I'm not an authority to tell you can eat vegetarian food that's not been offered. But my Guru Maharaj basically has said that. I'm just repeating what he said in a situation that the devotees find themselves.
Thank you. Very Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Okay, any other questions? Doesn't seem like. All right, so then we're going to end it here. In fact, I've been given the button to end it. So thank you, dear devotees, for being around. I'm sure, this class, I'm sure Donacharya Prabhu would inform you through other electronic means what will be happening in the Philadelphia temple. Hare Krishna, Jai. Vanchakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai. Go Srila Prabhupada.